Yo, what's going on, dudes? HK Titan here with a brand new video for you guys, and in today's video, I have a banger plan for you guys because I'm going to be creating probably one of the craziest maps that I've created so far. Now, for this map, I will be using a little bit of an inspiration from the map of Jungly Wungly made by the Ninja Kiwi team. So I was looking at this map and I was like, I really want to create something like this, but I really didn't know how to go about it. But I think I finally understand like a general idea of what I want to do in order to like turn this into an actual map in Bloons TD 6. That being said, I hope I can create a map that is deserving of a top 10 map. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and get like the two different layers, or yeah, like the two different layers set up. So the first layer that we're going to be doing is going to be like the top of the mountain. Now I'm not going to be doing the same exact thing that the Ninja Kiwi team did. I'm only going to be creating a straight down waterfall from the very top of the map all the way down to the bottom. On top of that, I'm also going to add like a couple of twists and turns in the map as well. But the map that I have in my head, it should end up looking pretty sweet. Now, the next thing I need to do is I need to lay down a layer of like this brown background. So the reason why I want to use this brown background is because I want this to like act like a cliff face. So with the cliff face, we want the cliff face to be pretty big, but not too overbearing, right? So I think I need to raise this top part up just a little bit. So I think for the cliff, that should be big enough. Now, this is where things are going to get really difficult, guys, because like it may look really weird right now, but once we like actually go through and we start adding all the props, that's when all this is going to like start to come together, right? So now that we have the three layers placed down, we have the top layer, we have the cliff face, and then we also have the bottom green area as well. Now's when we want to start adding the water. So with the water, I was like debating a bunch on what I wanted to do with like the water and stuff. And like I was saying, I want the like waterfall to like start like this. And I don't know if I want to do a little bit of a curve, but I think doing a little bit of a curve would make it look a little bit better. So let's do, actually, I don't think I want to do the curve because the curve is going to end up looking a little bit weird. Let's just do it like this. But the only problem with doing it like this, I know I always say like having straight lines really isn't a good thing. But I want to do straight lines to start, and then we'll go ahead and like add a little bit of like, we'll go ahead and add a little bit in the future to kind of like break up this straight line. All right, so this is the top of the waterfall. Now we need to do the actual waterfall part itself. So we need to take this water area, we need to drop it below this one. And then with this area, we need to make this area as straight as we can. Now, I was really debating on whether or not I wanted to like try to put like a cliff or like a cave in behind the waterfall. But I think for right now, I'm just going to stick with this blue background. And if I need to, I could do something a little bit different or like use a couple of different props to make this look a little bit better, right? All right, so this is going to be the waterfall section right here. Now we need to go ahead and add in the bottom section. But with the bottom section, I'm going to go ahead and leave this layer above this layer, because I think it'll look a little bit better once we start adding all the props, right? All right, now with the bottom of the waterfall, it doesn't have to be as like perfect as like the top. So what I wanted to do is I actually want to like make a little landmass in here in the middle where you could like place down towers. So I kind of want to stick with that. So by sticking with that, I am going to have to like make the bottom of the waterfall a little bit bigger. And I think this should end up looking pretty cool, right? All right, so I think this should about do it. I think I need to like kind of make this a little bit more like slanted. And there we go. So I know right now it's probably going to look really, really weird, but this is just a start. So now's the time when we need to start adding a little bit of a variation with the areas. So I think that should be pretty sweet for like this side, and then we'll go ahead and do the opposite on the other side. There we go. So we added like a little bit of a variation here, so I think that looks really, really cool. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and place down a little bit of a mass here in the water. So I think that should about do it. It looks a little bit weird, but it's fine. We can come back through and edit it later on. So now's when the hard part begins, because we're going to have to add like a bunch of rocks up here to like kind of make it a little bit easier of a transition from like the top of the waterfall down to the bottom. So these are the rocks that I want to work with to begin with, but this is where things are going to get a little bit complicated because I want to like I want to make it seem dude, I don't know if this is going to look good or not. So I was kind of debating on whether or not I want to like have them slanted, but I don't think having them slanted would look the best, right? So I think I'm just gonna have to do a little bit of trial and error here. So let's just go ahead and like place down all the props I'm gonna place down first, and then once we have all the props placed down, then we'll start like tweaking them a little bit. All right, so far the rocks are looking really good. Like now that I added the rocks, like you can already start like seeing the difference between like the top of the waterfall as well as the bottom of the waterfall. All right, so now that we have the basic rocks placed down, the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and make it the transition for the bottom of the like cliff a little bit more apparent. So in order to make it the bottom of the cliff a little bit more apparent, I'm going to go ahead and add these like green bushes because if you guys like looked at the jungly Wungly map before, they used these and I thought that looked so good on that style of map. So one thing that Ninja Kiwi did in order to like make the waterfall a little bit more apparent, they added like a big rock on the side of the cliff face, which I thought was really cool, but at the same time I feel like it's just a little bit overbearing. Another thing they did is they added like multiple layers by kind of incorporating like a second landscape. So I think that's actually something that we can do. Well, actually not a second landscape, but like a second level. But I'm actually debating on like keeping this or not. Like, I think it looks good, but it doesn't look like the best. Now, another thing I'm debating on doing is if I want to use like the same rock style that Ninja Kiwi did. Like the rock style looks really cool, but I just don't know how I feel about it. Like, I almost just want to like stack these rocks up on top of each other like this, kind of like going up the side of the waterfall. But if I did that, then I would have to like rotate them like this, right? All right, looking at it right now, I actually really like the way that this is like looking right now. I almost want to tilt these back just a little bit to give it that like different perspective feel. So if I tilt these back just a touch, it'll make it look way better. But the thing is that I don't want to like tilt it too much, or I don't want it to like, or I don't want the perspective to dominate the map, because if the perspective dominates the map, then it's going to go away from like being a actual map that you play on into more of a 3D creation. And 3D creation, or there's nothing wrong with 3D creations, it's just like that's not the style of map that I'm going for. I'm gonna leave it with that because I don't want to go too crazy right now because there's still a lot that we have to do. All right, now the next thing I want to do is I want to start adding greenery. So with the greenery that I want to add, we need to make this feel like an actual jungle. All right, so here's when things are going to start coming together. So I placed down a bunch of palm trees in the jungle. Now the next thing I want to do, I want to start adding like the leaves from trees. So with the leaves from trees, we're going to go ahead and like randomly place them around the map to begin with. All right, and to make the edge of the waterfall blend in a little bit more, or like the edge of the top of the waterfall blend in a little bit more, I went ahead and I add like a bunch of like bushes around the top of the waterfall, and hopefully this ends up looking good. And then I also like placed a bunch of like leaves around the map, but to like kind of give it a little bit more of a jungle vibe, right? Now the next thing I want to do, I want to go ahead and start incorporating a more of a jungle feel as well. All right, on top of that, we also need to be careful that we don't get too carried away like placing too many of the same props, because if we place too many of the same props, then it's going to look a little bit weird, right? So go ahead and like position them like behind the trees and like in small spots just to add like a little bit of a moving effect in the background. All right, so now the next thing I'm working on is adding like a little bit of foliage on the side of the cliff face. So for the side of the cliff face, it's going to be really important to use like vines. So with the vines, we want to go ahead and like make sure like it looks like they're going up the side of a cliff. So we'll add some like over here. We'll go ahead and add like another one over here. We'll make it a little bit bigger because we want like the vines to like go up to the very top of the cliff. There we go. So we have like vines along the cliff face. Now another thing that I think would look good on the cliff face. Oh, another thing we could do to add like a cliff face vibe is we can add these like little hanging purple flowers, because I think that would look so cool and it adds a little bit more to the cliff face edge, right? Oh yeah, dude, like these purple flowers are working so good. Plus it adds a lot of color to our map as well. All right, so that wasn't originally what I was going to go for, but I'm so glad that I found those hanging purple flowers because they look so good, right? Now the next thing I want to do, let's go ahead. We'll add like a couple more rocks down here. All right, so far it's looking pretty solid. Now let's go ahead. I want to add more color in the background, but this is why it's so hard to like make jungles, guys, because I want to add like more of these like leaves. But once you start adding like too many leaves, then it's just going to become super weird looking, right? All right, so I went ahead and I added like a bunch of these like blue and purple flowers around the map. I want to go ahead and make like some of them a little bit bigger, and I also want to like change the size of some of them to make like some smaller, some bigger, because like having them all the same size, it just looked a little bit weird. All right, now for the green in the background. Let's go ahead and we'll start adding like a couple of stamps. So the first stamps that I want to add, I want to add, do I want to add shade first? No, we don't want to add shade first. We want to start by adding like a couple of different stamps first. So we'll start off by adding these like little, like pebbly bits, and this will add a little bit more detail to, like the green background, right? Now, the next thing I want to do, I want to add like a couple of rocks along like the cliff face, but they don't need to be like super stand outish. They just need to be like visible every now and then, right? On top of that, let's go ahead. We'll add like a little bit of like dark greenery. This really doesn't matter too much. It's just to add like a little bit of something in the background to kind of like break up this really gray background. Now the next thing I want to do, let's go ahead and add ourselves another stamp layer. And then stamp layer 2, we'll put it below stamp layer 1. And then we'll go ahead and add like a little bit of this like green bush in the background, just to add a little bit more detail. And it will also add or not detail, but it'll add a little bit more contrast, because right now I feel like what we're missing really bad is contrast. There we go, and I think that's looking pretty good so far. All right, now the next thing we want to do, let's just go ahead and we'll add like a couple of these like dots, because the dots will just again add a little bit of detail along the cliff face, to make the cliff face seem a little bit more like cliff face, right? Then the next thing I want to do, I want to go ahead and add like a little or a couple bushels of like leaves, just to add or just to break up this like really blue background. Now's when the fun part begins, because this is where where I'm kind of like lost, because I don't know how I'm going to turn the background of this waterfall into like to where it looks good, right? But actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and we'll finish up with the like bigger props first, because I want to add like a couple of mushrooms. And if you guys remember what I said, I want to leave like an area over here where you could place down towers. All right, so I add a couple of lily pads along the edge of the river, and that instantly brought so much life to our map. On top of that, I also want to add a couple of lily pads that have like a little bit more color to them. So we'll add a couple of these lily pads that have the flower on top. And yeah, dude, that looks so good. That looks way better now. All right, so I think that should about do it for the lily pads. Now's where the fun part begins, because I need to make it seem like when the water's going down, it's splashing. Now, this is where it's going to be really hard. So looking at Jungly Wungly, the one that Ninja Kiwi did, they used this flower. They used this flower, and this flower looked really good for like making a makeshift waterfall, right? All right, so this is what I ended up doing for like the waterfall, like the smoke that's at the bottom of the waterfall. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to add like little white lines that go down like the waterfall right here. I found a prop that actually looked pretty good, and it's this one right here. So what I need to do is I need to go ahead and like make this like a thin white line, as well as I need to make it a little bit smaller. So we'll go ahead and add like a couple of these along like the edge of the water, or like not the edge of the water, but in the background. All right, and I really like the way that looks. That actually looks like there's water going down the track. But right now it still doesn't look perfect, because the water seems like stale, right? Like it doesn't seem like it's actually flowing. But luckily, Ninja Kiwi actually added quite a few new props that I think we can actually make it look like the water's actually moving, right? So the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and use this. And then, yeah, dude, like the water effects around the rocks look so good. Now's when the important part comes along. So I want to add these like footsteps. Now, this isn't all we're going to add because right now it looks good, but it still looks a little bit wonky. So now's when the next part begins. So what I need to do is I need to go ahead and rotate this. I need to flip it so it's going this direction. Wait a minute. Where are you? There we go. That looks so good. Now for the bottom of the river. This is the one that we're going to be using for the bottom. Wait, no, it's not. Actually, we could use this one. What I want to use is I want to use this one because like the smoke effects go out in the same direction. And then let's go ahead and make them a little bit bigger. And then after we make this a little bit bigger, yeah, dude. Then we're just gonna have to like make a bunch of them at the bottom of the river. There we go, dude. That looks so good. I really like the way that looks. That looks so much like a real river, dude. It looks so good with like the moving feet as well as like the smoke effects that go down. On top of that, there's a constant stream of smoke at the bottom of the river. Now, hopefully when we like back out and then come back in, it doesn't end up like messing it up, right? Because if they all like go at the same time, it's not gonna look as good. So let me go ahead and save and exit and then jump back in. All right, so there's the problem that we're gonna have. Like it looks good, but when you back out and you come back in, it just like it goes out all at once, and that's not what we want. Like it looks good, but I think what I need to do is instead of that one, we're gonna have to use the different smoke cloud. Yep, I think that actually looks good. Like it will fade out and in, but that fade out and in actually doesn't look too bad. So now we have like a majority of the factors at play. Now we need to do something about this island here. All right, guys, and I'm really liking the way that this is turning out. We need to add another stamp layer, and we need to make sure that this last stamp layer is below all of these stamps. Because I want to add like a couple of rocks underneath all of these flowers, because I mean it looks good, but it's just like too clean underneath it. Yeah, dude, that looks so good. Now another thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and add some like sunspots to the water, because without the sunspots it just looks a little bit weird, right? We'll add like a bunch of these sunspots along the river, and that's gonna add so much detail. Dude, that already looks so much better. I really like the way that this is looking. And this looks so good, dudes. I'm so happy with the way that this is turning out. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and add like a plate or like a no monkey placement zone. All right, and I think that should about do it. Let me go ahead and jump into, wait, no, I can't enter sandbox mode until I place down the actual pathway first. So the pathway that we're going to be using is we're going to be using the invisible pathway, but this is where things are going to get really wonky because I'm going to have like multiple pathways here. So the first pathway, we need to make sure like it goes over the edge of the waterfall, right? So we'll have the first one come straight down and go to this side of the little island. We'll grab ourselves another pathway. And then we'll have this pathway go down here, kind of similar to the other pathway, but this one's going to come all the way over here on this side. All right, and I think that looks pretty good so far. Now, this is where things are going to get really interesting because I want like one pathway to do like a zigzag pattern down the river. That way it's a little bit on the longer side. And then we need to add ourselves another pathway, and then this pathway is going to do kind of something similar, except it's going to zigzag it the opposite direction, because I mean it's not fun if the balloons like all take the same exact pathway, right? And then we'll have one that does like a lot of zigzag patterns, and it'll come down the center of the waterfall like this. And then which side do we want it to go to? We'll have it go to the left side. I mean, this is definitely going to be a pretty difficult map for sure though, right? All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at sandbox mode to make sure that we don't have any like wonky placements for towers. And nope, this side looks pretty good, right? I think I need to, no, I don't think I need to do any editing on this side. I think it's actually perfect. Actually, I do need to do a little bit. Okay, so now the next thing I'm testing really quick is I'm testing the like placement of different towers. I'm a little bit concerned about the placement on the actual like side of the little island here. Like it looks good, But the only problem is like I'm not getting like perfect placement. Like the placement has to be like so far away from the edge, and I'm not exactly sure why that is. Let me take a look here. So I don't think it should be that off, right? All right, let's try again with the placement of our towers. Yeah, so for some reason, like it's cutting me off right here and I don't know why. Let me go ahead and extend the island a little bit more. All right, so it's not perfect, but I think by extending the island just a touch, I should be able to get a little bit closer to the edge, right? Yeah, like that's not bad. Next thing is, can we fit a village? We can, perfect. So I think this map should be beatable on Chimps. As long as you're using like Quincy or another one of those like pretty strong towers, right? So now that now I need to go ahead and take another look throughout this entire map. Wait, I almost forgot like one of the most important parts of like making a jungle map. We need to add a little bit more life to our map. So that means I'm going to add like parrots, I'm going to add hummingbirds, I'm going to add a bunch of like little like small details to add a little bit more life to our map. All right, so I went ahead and added a little bit of life to this map. I added like a bunch of bugs along the river. On top of that, I also added like these little chameleons on top of these rocks. I actually want to kind of like make these chameleons a little bit smaller. I want to add like a couple more on top of this rock. Yeah, dude, that looks so cool, like a little chameleon family. I also want to add like a second one up here as well. And then I think that should about do it. I also want to add a couple more dragonflies down here. But all right, dudes, I think that should about do it for all of the props as well as the actual pathway itself. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you guys rate this map? But of course, as always, we have to go ahead and save and exit, as well as we need to come up with a name for our map. So this map was obviously based on the map of Jungly Wungly, but I don't know if I want to like call it Jungly Wungly 2.0. I think what I want to name this map is Rapid River. I think Rapid River actually suits this map a little bit more than Jungly Wungly. All right, so now that we've named our map, let's go ahead and play our map. Now, this map shouldn't be too challenging for the simple fact that there's multiple pathways, as well as the balloons will take a little bit longer to actually like approach the bottom of the map. Yeah, like that looks so cool. I'm so glad that I made like some balloons like touch the side of the walls, because I feel like that definitely adds a little bit of extra detail to this map, right? Because if it's like flowing down the river, the balloons obviously aren't going to flow like the same way, right? But all right, dudes, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to round 39, and I'll bring you guys back on round 39. Hey, dude, so here we are on round 39, and this looks so cool. I'm so glad that I decided to add the like tracks where the balloons would go a little bit of a different direction, because it looks really interesting when you get like a really big rush of balloons. And it looks so cool. But all right, dudes, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What you guys would rate this map? Like I was saying, what would you guys rate this map on a scale of 1 to 10? And do you guys believe that this map belongs in the top 10 of all Bloons maps? So just to give you an idea of the maps that are currently in the top 10, so we have the Monkey Meadow Different Angle, Monkeyopolis, World's Longest Map, Sauda, Interstellar, Jungly Wungly, Path OC Transpo, Vaporeon's Garden, Among Us, BTD1, My Wish Orders Shipping Route, and then Clark's Fancy Map. I think that was more than 10, but you guys get the drift. Do you guys believe that the map that I just created can make it onto the top 10 list? But anyways, dudes, that's gonna do it for the video. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you guys hit that like button. Also, if you guys would like to give this map a try, here is the code right here. But anyways, dudes, again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.